Have you ever felt underrated, overlooked, devalued? I have. It's why I started this series, 4 reasons why your message isn't getting the visibility it deserves. And today in part 3, I'm talking about why you're overrated, and it's because of outreach. Check it out. Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of Finish Friday. We are in part 3 of our 4-part series, why your message isn't getting the visibility it deserves. If you are good at what you do, if you've got something to say, if you got a skill, a talent, you know that more people could benefit from, but people don't know who you are. You don't understand. You posting on social media, you're not getting traffic. Like, you don't know how to get your name out there. I want you to watch this because in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why the reason that you are not getting the visibility you deserve is because you're not doing enough outreach, right? So we're going to get into that. Before we do, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Every week, I release at least one video about speaking, about how to live the abundant life, because I believe we live in a world of more than enough. There's enough money, enough joy, enough peace, enough happiness, enough relationships to go around that none of us should live in lack unless we so desire. And the way that we experience this abundant life and enjoy the abundant world that's around us is by us all stepping powerfully into our greatest and most full potential. So if that message resonates with you, I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, engage with the content. That way you get a notification as soon as it goes live. And when you engage, YouTube will go, oh my gosh, this is amazing and worth sharing with more people. And then we can get it to the people who need to hear it the most. All right. So let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about the fact that you have to do more outreach in order to get the visibility that you deserve. Here's one thing I know. It does not matter how gifted you are if no one knows who you are, okay? It doesn't matter how much you know if nobody knows you. I remember hearing somebody complain about not being a New York Times bestselling author because they felt their book was amazing and it deserved to be a New York Times bestselling on the New York Times bestselling list. And when I was talking to him, I was like, well, what are you doing to market your book? What are you doing to outreach? What are you doing to gain visibility? And it's like, well, I'm doing this and this. I'm like, oh, that's not enough. This is not enough. I was like, don't you understand? It's not the best written author. It's the best selling. It's the person that gets out there in front of people and sells it. So you have to get out there and sell it. So you can be a sweet writer and be dope, but if you're not getting out there, then you're not going to sell. The same is true with your message. You can have the most powerful story. You can have a story that people can connect to if they heard it. You can have a story that would change somebody's life, but if you're not getting in front of the right people, if you're not doing the outreach, it don't matter how good you are because people need to see you. They need to hear you. They need to connect with you. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips on some different outreach that you can do in order to get the visibility that you deserve. All right. Number one, I want you to get a sheet of paper out and I want you to brainstorm places where your ideal audience hangs out. I mean, think about social media, social gatherings, events, what podcasts they listen to, what magazines they read. Just think about them and just brainstorm everything you can think of. And I want you to ask yourself the question, how am I showing up where they're showing up? Or am I at all? Because all you got to do is hang around these people and it's going to, you know, you're on social media or if you get on the podcast and share your stuff, people are going to connect with you and they start reaching out to you. So how do you figure that out? You talk to your ideal audience, man. What conferences do you go to? What books do you read? What email list are you subscribed to? And those are the type of places where you want to begin to make sure you're showing up so that your message is getting out there and you're attracting your tribe. So I want you to brainstorm places where your audience hangs out and find ways to get there more consistently. It's pretty easy, right? All right. Number 2, paid advertising. I'm talking billboards, social media, magazines. I mean, anywhere where they will pay you or where you can pay to get attention, I want you to do that. And I used to have this kind of resistance against paid advertising because for some reason I thought it was like, I don't know, buying success or something. Like, you know, if I bought an article in Fox, then somehow that meant like I really wasn't deserving of it because I bought it, right? Like I wasn't good enough to be seen and featured. I had to pay for the feature. And that's not how I see it anymore. like the way that I see paid advertising is like, if I believe in something, a message, a product, a service, I'm going to invest in that something. And that shifted. And it's because I had this little chip on my shoulder and I was like, man, I'm not doing any paid advertising when it comes to my TEDx talk. I'm gonna do it all organic. It was like, organic is better. Like, it makes me a better marketer, a better relationship person, a better business person if I can do it organic and other people have to pay. And then I was like, you know what? If paying would help more people to see it, why would I not do that? So I thought I was right in my head, but I was doing the dumb. And so I still haven't done paid advertisement at the time of the recording of this video, because I was like, I'm still committed to hitting 1 million viewers organically, and I'm like this close. In fact, I want you to finish watching this video, but when you finish watching this video, go watch my YouTube TEDx talk, my first one, Overcoming Rejection, because I'm at like 960, 70,000, and you can help us get to 1 million. So that's kind of a side rant, but we're talking about paid advertising. Your message, your product, your service is worth investing in order to get the visibility that you deserve. And so find ways to pay for exposure, pay to show up if you're a speaker at a showcase, pay if you're a speaker to be on a podcast that has a certain amount of downloads, like pay to get an email feature in someone's list. Do paid advertising, because all it takes is one of the right email blaster, one of the right social media poster, one of the right events that you attend with the right client for you to start to get more traction and visibility around the message that you have that needs to be heard by other people. So number one, brainstorm places where your ideal client hangs out. Number two, try paid advertising. Number three, speak. Speaking, I believe, is one of the fastest way to grow any business. Any business. Whether you're a speaker or you are a professional knitter, speaking is the fastest way to grow your business. Why? Because people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And one of the best ways to communicate your heart to people is through public speaking. We know that the majority of our communication is nonverbal communication. There's only so much we can do written. There's only so much we can do in short form content, but we can do a lot more by speaking, learning how to convey a message, a story in front of people. And here's what I know about some people is a lot of times we see speaking, if you're a coach, as a distraction, right? Like, oh man, I spoke in my buddy's mastermind and I didn't really get paid for it. I maybe got like one client, but I had to travel and be away from family. Or all the speakers that I know, they're road warriors and they don't have great work-life balance. And that's why I left corporate to be an entrepreneur, because I wanted better work-life balance and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, why are you letting somebody else's reality dictate yours? It's your terms. You're an entrepreneur. You get to decide the rules of the game. You get to create the path you want as a speaker. Nobody else has to determine that for you. In fact, I'm going to talk about this. I got an upcoming webinar, depending on when you're watching this, called the Stage Launch for Coaches. And it's a free webinar. And I teach coaches how you can scale your business and make a greater impact in the world through public speaking. So this isn't just about getting more clients. This is about helping more people and designing it in a way like building public speaking, a stream of revenue from public speaking, into your business model that aligns with your mission, your values, that doesn't distract you from time. So anyways, check that out. Go to my website or whatever, and you can find the information for that. Or we'll put a link in the description of the video as well. But I want you to start looking for opportunities to speak, to share about what you're doing, okay? Give you a couple of ideas, especially if you're not a public speaker, okay? If you are a public speaker, you should be in our Speaking Made Profitable group. Link is also in the description of this video. But if you're not, and you're like, how can I use public speaking to grow my brick and mortar? How can I use public speaking to grow my freelance? I'm going to tell you how, okay? Two ways. Number one, share your origin story Number 2, share your creative process. Yeah. Your origin story. Your origin story is the reason why you got into what you got into, right? It's that birthing moment where you decided, you know what? I want to do this with my life. I want to build this. I want to learn about crypto. Like that origin story connects with people. You know how much more, okay, if you really believe in crypto and you're watching this, you know how many people tried to talk to me about crypto before I actually started investing in crypto? They're talking about this new thing and it's going to be our new form of currency. I'm just like, oh, cool. I didn't really care. But when somebody shared their origin story, when somebody told me why they were passionate about crypto, I'm like, oh, tell me about this crypto. Your story has that impact on people. Think about why you started and begin to find ways to get that message out there. Even if you just got to host your own live stream once a week and let people know about your origin story. The second thing is share your creative process. Okay. So if you're like, I don't know what to talk about and who wants to hear this? I'll tell you who wants to hear it. People want to know how you do what you do. You're good at it. You're good at it. I mean, I'm not saying you're the best in the world at it. None of us are. There's always somebody better. I'm saying you're good. Okay. If you don't believe that you're good, I'm going to help you right now. Right. I should do a whole separate video on how to know your greatness, right? Here it is. You ready? I want you to stop looking at other people. Stop looking at the people you admire. Stop looking at the people you compare yourself to. Stop looking at the experts you know. Stop looking at the magazines you read. Stop looking at the television. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at one person. And it's not necessarily yourself. So it's not the mirror. It's the rear view mirror. I want you to look at yourself 5 years ago. You remember how small you were playing? Remember how low you were? You see how far you've come? I want you, stay here. I want you to ask yourself one question. You ready? Can you help the old version of yourself? Can you help that person that you see from 5 years ago? I guarantee you, I don't even know you. Well, I might know you, but I guarantee you the answer is yes. Yes, you can always help the old version of yourself. And if that's the case, then your creative process is worth sharing with that person because they still doing it or they learning how to do it, but they don't know what you know right now. You've grown, you've developed, and there's other people in the world. There's almost 8 billion people on this planet. The internet connects us all. You mean to tell me you don't think 5 people, 100 people, 100 of the one? You mean to tell me you think there's not enough people who care about your process that you can gain more exposure and make an impact through it? You already know that's not true. It's just, how do you get in front of those people? You start speaking. You start speaking on the podcast. You start speaking on interviews. You start speaking on your live stream show. You start speaking at a social club. You start speaking at a local school. You start speaking, go to your old old high school and do a talk just for the students. Just do it for free. See what happens. See who you inspire. You never know. I got my first paid speaking engagement from an intern who I didn't even hire as my intern. She did a couple of projects with me. She liked how I treated her. And her aunt ran a conference and she asked if I spoke. At the time, I had never been paid to speak. She wanted me to do a marketing presentation. I had never done that before. And I was like, yeah, I speak. And then they were like, well, how much you charge? I was like, oh, like $500. They're like, okay, cool. And I was like, wait, hold on. How much can I charge? No, seriously, I charge way too low. But my point is this. I stepped on that stage and I shared about marketing and I was insecure. It was at a fancy Sorrento casino. Some of you know that. And it was a bunch of executives, not a bunch, like 20, 30 executives. And I was, I don't know, 3 years old or something like that. So I'm young. I didn't know if I could impress anybody with my marketing knowledge. But when I didn't focus on that, and I'm like, man, what would Darryll from 3 years ago wanted to know? I'm like, oh, these 3 things, man. Focus on these 3. It was 4. Focus on these 4 things. Focus on capturing attention, connecting with your audience, communicating key points, and calling to action. Just focus on that. And so that's the speech I gave, and they loved it. And then they hired me for more events. And so my point is, like, just start speaking. Like I said yes to, who would have known that, like, that was an opportunity from an old intern. So you might go to your old high school speaking, one of the teachers that worked there, like, oh man, my friends runs this conference, or oh man, you should maybe talk to this group or this group or this group. And the point isn't for you to be like this inspirational speaker if that's not your intent or your goal. The point is that you get the visibility that you deserve. All right, so let's recap. Number 1, brainstorm places where your ideal client hangs out. Number 2, try paid advertising. And number 3, hire Darryll to coach you as a speaker. I'm serious. I got you. And if you're serious and you're ready, hit me up. Contact form. Apply to the mastermind. It's time for you to claim your stage, because you got something. You got a gift, a message that needs to be heard. All right, so what we're gonna do, if we're not getting enough visibility, we're gonna make sure that we watch this series. Okay, this is part 3. Go watch the other parts, and I'll see you next week for part 4. Make sure that if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, engage with the content. Let me know what you think. What's your number 1 strategy for how to gain more visibility? I'm not talking about people who are not good. I'm talking about people who are good. They're good enough to help somebody else. How do they get the visibility that they deserve? If you have thoughts on that, drop it in the comments. Until next time, remember, we live in a world of more than enough. There's more than enough love, more than enough joy, more than enough peace, more than enough happiness to go around, that none of us should live in lack unless we so desire. So go out there and always remember, finish strong. Peace.